everybody, to another edition of the Pennsylvania High School Football Report Podcast. I'm Brian Linder. I'm here with Eric Epler, the old head.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, let him hear you.
That's me.
There you heard him. And there's Dan Sostek right there. If you're a long-time listener like Carolyn Ford near Josh Oswald over at Cumberland Valley, you know, with one of the hottest receiver recruits, well, not receiver, but athletes, I guess, Zayden Smith, Dan, in the state right now. Yeah. Cumberland Valley's got a skill guy, Zayden Smith, who's got Ohio State and Penn State here recently in offers. And Dan, I'll give you props. You about a month and a half ago, you sent me his film and said, I think this kid's going to be a good one.
I got to give Rymir Vaughn credit too. We were at the spring fling. I watched Zayden play last year, and I thought he was, a good player. But, when you're sitting in the press box, you kind of don't see how big these kids are, and you don't see how their frame looks. Like, you see 6'4" listed, but then when you get down close at those spring fling type events, you kind of see how they move at that size. And he was doing the DB wide receiver drills. He just moved so smooth that as a DB, getting offered by Penn State and Ohio State. It was interesting. Both of them offered via their linebackers coach, which you don't see a ton of 6'4" linebackers. So you're wondering if they're doing so as, a safety type, like a kind of box safety. But yeah, it's a cool blow up. They already have Tyler Merrill. They put Kevin Snyder, Charlie Catchier. They always have a couple guys every few years, but Zayden looks like the next big guy from CV, along with Elijah Sherman, who I think has a couple D1-ish offers as well. So, big time for the host of the state championships.
It's rare. It's actually pretty exciting for CV though, because it is fairly rare that they have a skill guy out on the edge getting a big offer like that. That's kind of a good sign for them, because we know, I think Oswald told us last year or something like that, they usually have about 200 in the program or something, and they have to cut a few. That's pretty promising, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, they just got to get them a ball now. You know what I mean? Maybe tuck in under Big Oak, and a little 5-step drop, get him a ball, get him a rock. Obviously, the size is a big plus. Standing there 6'4", if he is going to stay on the offensive side, like Dan's alluded to.
I alluded the opposite. I think it seems like they're recruiting him to play defense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right. Yeah. Did you not hear me?
Well, they had a good young quarterback last year, or the quarterback who come on pretty late, the young kid.
I've kind of mentioned them before. I think that they're, with that Commonwealth division is so tough, but I think that they could make some noise. And they beat Harrisburg last year, so they have the ability to be a real player in that division. And with the turnover at State College, you never know. There's a world where they're the third best team in that Commonwealth division.
Well, they beat Harrisburg last year, and I will say, along with State College, I would think that, heck, for the entire state, really, State College and Cumberland Valley probably have, numbers-wise, some of the bigger programs in the state.
Yeah, definitely. State College always dresses 100+. Cumberland Valley, I don't think dresses that many, but they certainly have the numbers in the feeder system, and obviously junior varsity and things like that. So, and a big freshman class. There's not a lot of programs that still have a freshman team. And CV obviously does. So yeah, two of the bigger programs for sure.
It'll be exciting to see what they got going on. And Dan, I know you kind of made a list, kind of talk about this week coming back. We talk about things statewide a lot too, because we're the High School Football Report podcast. But we are based out of Harrisburg. We do cover a lot of Mid-Penn. And Dan, I know you kind of had a list of guys you thought for the Mid-Penn people should kind of be keeping an eye on, and maybe kind of breakout type guys, right, to talk about.
Yeah, a couple of these guys we've talked about already on the podcast, but I still think the first one that just sticks out, just based on what I've heard, what I've seen of him in other sports, and just in general, I think the first one that comes to me is Demir Arp on Harrisburg. I just think that they really think this kid is going to be a kind of transformative player. Not in that, they needed transformation. They made the state semifinals, but I think what he can add across from Elias Koch, they're super high on him. I think they also, he he can play some quarterback too in a pinch, like wildcat formations, things like that. He's just a terrific athlete. Obviously a heck of a basketball player too. Averaged like 17 points a game as a freshman for McDevitt. He's been playing the AAU circuit, and he's been playing summer league down at Spooky Nook for the Cougars past couple weeks. So I think he's going to be a really big add to the team. There's a couple other receivers too, like Nikias Zenon from Middletown. He had a really solid year for a Middletown team that didn't have a ton in the passing game. I think he had the majority of their receiving touchdowns. He had 8 receiving touchdowns. He looked pretty good at the spring fling, and I think he's going to be a bigger name. We talked about it last week a little bit. Maddox Jasinski from Trinity, going to be their top wide receiver. Just got an offer from Norfolk State, Division I, kind of not sight unseen. He had 300 receiving yards last year, but I imagine he's going to be a bigger piece. So then I just briefly mentioned him before. Elijah Sherman's another guy I think could really break out. So there's a couple of wide receivers I had on my list.
Yeah, some of those names are really new to me, Dan. Honestly, and I watch a lot of film, but I know you've been out. Like I said, you went to the spring fling. That's kind of where you kind of started really preaching the Zayden Smith stuff to us. With, you and Ramir.
There are some other guys too. Like I had some running backs on the list too. Like I don't know how much you've seen of him on Shippensburg, but Mark Carruthers Jr. on Shippensburg. I think he's been getting some Division I interest. That kid's going to be a really, like, every few years, Shippensburg has that running game that's just really, really hard to stop. And I could see that happening this year with this kid. He's a really good running back. Kadin Luckett on Milton Hershey. He was good last year, so it's kind of hard to put it. He had 700 rushing yards this past year. But if they move Logan Jerry out more to like a wide receiver, running back type spot, I could see Gon Luckett kind of being their bell cow back. And I think Ep might have mentioned this guy a couple weeks ago, Mark Lebo on Central Dauphin.
Yeah.
He was kind of on an offense that struggled to create big plays last year. He was probably their best kind of big play threat. I think right now he's listed on their website as quarterback. I don't know if he's going to play quarterback or not. But if Central Dolphin's going to have a big year, I think Mark Lebo is going to be a big factor in it. And then Alex Otero from Cedar Cliff. They lose PJ Dent. I think Otero is going to be their running back. And I think they're one of those programs that you just kind of have to pencil in whoever's playing running back for their team. Colin Gillen's going to find a way to have them be productive. So those are some other guys that were just off the top of my head, some breakout candidates.
I think it's really interesting. You mentioned Carruthers and maybe even get some D1 interest. And the reason I say that is because, Shippensburg, like I said, they always run the football and they run it well. But I don't know that they've had. Anthony Smith, I think, is going to play in the NFL. He's at Minnesota now, but he was a defensive lineman. I don't think they've had really that college prospect running back in the backfield in a long time.
Adam Hauser was
good. You know what? But he went to IUP or something like that, and he was a little undersized. He was a heck of a player. But if you're talking about D1 interest or whatever for this kid, Hauser was a really awesome football player, high school football player. But it's been a while since Shippensburg's had a guy like that.
Yeah, and I believe Janai Stadium. I believe he graduated. Yeah, like Mark Carruthers Jr. He was at and sometimes when you're looking at these camp things and seeing kids going to camps, it can be a little misleading. But when you're a kid from Shippensburg, you get invited to Clemson's football camp. I think that means that at least you're generating some good interest. So I know he's been they've been all over the place with him. So I think he's going to be a guy that really breaks out this year as one of the very best running backs, at least the mid-pen.
Yeah, I think Carruthers too. We're probably a year late as far as breakout, but obviously as far as being a feature back with Statham gone,
yeah.
That's certainly. Carruthers had 12 TDs last year. I think he was just shy of 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
rushing. If I'm not,
that's kind of like why you get into the breakout is like me like a real breakout is if he had like 1,500 yards going from sharing a backfield. But you're right, he did have a really good year last year, so it's a little stretching.
It's a little stretch.
Well,
but he will become, he should become the featured back, which is,
Yeah. And to be fair, Statham got most of the headlines.
1,600 yards, something like that. So, as far as taking the lion's share of carries, Carruthers certainly is going to do that. Brady Maciuski's back, the quarterback. So they'll have some guys there at Shippensburg. And obviously, Eric Faust loves to pound the football. So Carruthers is going to get every chance.
You know what they're missing? They're missing Diesel Koser. They got to find their new Diesel Koser.
You got to find their new Diesel. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Sherman, Dan, a couple times, 33 catches last year, 6 TDs. He's a good target, 6 foot.
He just got a Duquesne offer, which is.
Yeah. He's just one of those gamers, Cumberland Valley's got 2 or 3 of those guys that you could pretty much spot anywhere. Obviously he played really well defensively too. I think he had 3 or 4 picks last year. But he's going to be monumental in their success just because, Bazalka's gone, Kendrick's gone, Hockenberry's gone, Bay Jr.'s gone. Who else? There's going to be holes to fill there at Cumberland Valley. You had mentioned Mark Lebo. Lebo's very interesting because obviously he could wind up being the successor to Gavin Kirkpatrick at quarterback. And obviously they need him to be just as solid as a linebacker this year. He had like 80 stops last year. Was one of their better defensive guys. So he's going to be a vital component, at 1-2 punch for the Rams, who are really, desperately young last year and just went through a lot of mistakes and during really like a frustrating season. But you've got to have, we all know, Central Dauphin loves to run the football. And Lebo can certainly tuck it and run if he does wind up playing quarterback. But they only had 1,000 passing yards as a team last year. So that's, right around 100 a game. And it's just to not have that threat just really diminishes what you can do offensively as a rush heavy offense. You've got to have that downfield threat a little bit to kind of space the defense out. So hopefully, if Lebo winds up playing quarterback, it'll be interesting to see what it is. Another guy that I just added was Keegan Barrick, the running back for Big Spring.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, he's the wrestler, right? He's a really good wrestler.
Yeah, he's a tremendous wrestler. He had around 400 rushing yards last year, a couple TDs as a sophomore. But I look at the 9 yards of carry, and now I know some of that, might be okay against lesser opponents or this or that. So maybe it's a little bit inflated, but you're starting the post Grant Hall era. And Keegan obviously is going to be a big part of trying to continue that and build on that success. We all know what Hall could do as a versatile running back. So Barrick feels like next man up. And obviously he's a terrific defender too. He's a strong safety for Big Spring. So I look for him to be
fun to watch because I don't know if maybe they need to update their max pass, but I think I saw him at the wrestling match, and I think this is probably accurate. He's listed at 5'5", which is
he's not big.
Yeah,
he's not big.
He is a gamer.
5, but
yeah, he is a gamer, and that height has never stopped Big Spring running backs from being productive. Yeah. Only issue is we're not going to get to technically, this is his last year in the mid-10s, so. With Big Spring moving over, but he's a kid that's they always list him on their surveys the past couple of years as a guy that could make some noise, and I'm not sure if any program has more production, like percentage of their total production to replace than Big Spring with Grant Hall, because that kid did everything for that program for like 3 years.
Another guy too, Dan, that you mentioned earlier was Jerome LaRue, the running back for McDevitt. Obviously he showed flashes of what he can do last year, but only 41 carries. It's going to be another thick Bishop McDevitt, running back core. Obviously Naz is the primary guy, but I suspect having a guy like LaRue and that sort of home run ability that he brings, I suspect that Maurice Barnes might see fewer carries on offense, let him focus on defense as a linebacker, and obviously try to find ways to get the ball in LaRue's hands a little bit more. maybe it's a short passing game. Sebastian Williams, they're breaking in a new quarterback now for the first time in 4 years. So maybe it's a short passing game where you get LaRue out in the flanks, something like that. But I think McDevitt and Coach Weck's going to find ways to get LaRue the ball because, like I said, he has that home run ability.
Yeah,
but between Barnes, Nas, Jonte Quick, and whoever else shows up at camp, it's going to be tough to get added carries. I think for LaRue. So I look to see him being used in a little bit different way.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't list him as a breakout is because I just like you said, the volume might not necessarily be there. But
Right.
I mean, he's a kid that's always been working to get bigger, get stronger while keeping that speed, which is I always think that's got to be one of the most challenging things for a player like him. Is like how much do you want to work on adding that muscle that you need to kind of survive playing high school football and playing at the next level without sacrificing that 4.39 40 speed you have. I imagine that he's gonna be a heck of a lot better than he was as a freshman this year. And then his junior year is when the big statistics are going to come out. But I think you're right. I think we're going to kind of see that a little more uptick in, coaches trust him even more than they trusted him last year, which they trusted him last year. He returned kicks. I also think his role in the kick and punt game is going to be even bigger than it was this past year.
You look, I mean, Dominic Diaz-Ellis is gone. Quick is there. Jonte Quick, who had an excellent sophomore year and is really probably one of the better returning receivers in the state. There probably is, with his skill set, opportunity to move him in and maybe, I don't know, you guys have seen him more than I have, put him in the slot and stuff like that. And
I think they're really
move him out of space.
I think they're really high on Howard Holton Jr. playing that slot position. And the other guy that they have there that has apparently had a really good summer is Gage Ruth, who's back for his senior.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's going to be difficult because you still, if you think about the return game, Mitch Palmer's back, who was a big returner for them. Obviously, a home run threat every time he drops back, and you still have the tight end Liam Fuller. So you've got a lot of bodies who can do some damage between Holton and Ruth and Fuller and your running backs. I mean, Sebastian Williams is going to have a lot of options in the offense. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what LaRue's role is.
We've mentioned Sebastian a couple times now, and we talk about breakout players. You hate to put this much weight on a kid, but he might be the most important player or most interesting player, maybe the most important player in the mid-10 going into the season because...
I mean, couldn't you argue the state? Couldn't you argue the state?
Possibly, because if he can get it done, McDevitt really might be a state title contender again. If he can step in and just be good, not great, but just good or solid, McDevitt's a state title contender again.
I don't know about you guys, but I love that he played multiple sports this year. Like I think that's really, to me, that kind of tells me that he's confident in himself, that he's not, overly, that he still played basketball, still played lacrosse. He's going to get ready this offseason. I think we're going to get to our interview with Nazir Jones-Davis, but he kind of talked about how he's a little more athletic than Stone was. And I kind of think that, you don't see all these, sometimes you don't see the quarterbacks at these major programs playing multiple sports. And I like that he was McDevitt's best lacrosse player this spring. So I think that it seems like there's been a ton of confidence about him within the program. And the vibe I get from him is that it doesn't seem like it's going to be daunting to him.
This isn't a knock, but to look at it a little bit differently, if you're in that position, there's no better group of weapons that you could be surrounded by to be successful than to be at McDevitt. I mean, we just got done naming 7 or 8 guys who can all hit home runs.
And I think it can't be overstated how good Jonte Quick is going to be for that, because he's just always been.
Yeah.
And the running game is such that, if he comes in and he's a little shaky to start out with, or just starting out, Weck has the ability, I would think, to, sort of ease him in, because you could run the heck out the rock with, we're going to get to our guest right here in a minute. We'll jump into that here But Nazir Jones-Davis, one of the best running backs in the state, he showed that last year. Maurice Barnes can get it done at running back. I mean, he's a college prospect, I think, as a linebacker, but he's a good running back too. And then you talk about LaRue, who's a home run threat. So you can run the rock and really take it easy with Williams if you want to. But I do know that they're excited about the kid. So it'll be interesting to see what he's got. I tell you what, guys, let's pop into this interview with Nazir Jones-Davis, Bishop McDevitt's star running back, and Eastern Michigan commit. All right, Dan and Ep. This week we got another special guest. This is Bishop McDevitt running back Nazir Jones-Davis. Swoops.
Yes, sir.
Made our All-PA team last year, man. We got you on our All-PA, I think, first team last year, basically because of that playoff run, man. You had a heck of a playoff run. I think you were a big key in the way you ran the ball down the stretch and helping Bishop McDevitt win the state championship. Recently committed to Eastern Michigan, man. Coming back for another year. I guess, first of all, how excited are you about this year? And look, Stone Saunders set just about every passing record there was to set in Pennsylvania. He's going to Kentucky now. You know, how excited are you about this year, and what can we expect from this Bishop McDevitt team this year, man?
I'm excited to play that role Stone had played his senior year for us. So I feel as though we got a chance for a two-peat. And we ain't satisfied with just one from last year. We stacking and building, especially the young talent on our team. We for sure, this ain't going to be the last time seeing us. Gonna see us a lot.
When you have a quarterback like Stone, though, like I know there's been a lot of talk about Sebastian Williams and people excited about him, but like, how do you guys replace him? And you know, what's the offense looking like when you got to replace the all-time passing leader in the state of Pennsylvania?
I mean, Sebastian gonna be a great key for us for sure because he can move more than Stone, so it's gonna be a lot of runs. So it's gonna be great for Seabass.
And that running back room you guys have, McDevitt always has a good running back room every single year. But
for sure.
But I mean, obviously we all know the legacy, the only high school in America with two 10,000-yard rushers in the NFL to come from there. But this running back room, it's pretty much the same as last year, right? It's got you, it's got Maurice, and then it's got the young gun, right? Jerome,
yes,
who obviously flashed a little bit. How close are you guys together, and how much have you guys all kind of made each other better just working in that room together? Because you all kind of do a little bit different things, right?
We all try to teach each other things, like, in practice. Say if one person mess up, we'll try to get on him about, like, the mistakes he made. So it's like we all push each other to be great at practice. That's how we work. Like, we know we got to carry a big load on our team, so we know what we got to do to put in that work for it, for sure.
I've also got a question for you that I've always kind of wondered. How did you get the nickname Swoops? Because that's all anyone refers. It's basically like it's your name in here. Is it because of how you run? Is it date back further than that? How'd you get that nickname?
I actually had that name my whole life. I got that name my first year of football. I was about 4 years old, and I had to play up with like 5, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. It wasn't easy getting bullied and all that. So my coach asked me what was my name, but I had told him my name's Superman. As it being a kid, so I told him my name's Superman. He was like, I'm going to just call you Swoop. So after he called me that, I just stayed with that name my whole life.
That's a great brand.
Aren't you originally from Philly?
Yes, sir.
So, like, what school were you originally at Philly?
I came from Northeast High School in Northeast section of Philadelphia.
They had some ballers come out of there. What brought you to, like, McDevitt? What brought you out of Philly?
I wasn't supposed to go to Northeast High School, but I was supposed to reclass and either go to Emotep Charter or St. Joe's Prep because they was like how recruiting me throughout Little League. So it was to the point where my mom was like, she didn't want me to reclass because she would think like they'd bully me just based off I'm the oldest one in the class. Like she didn't think it how it would be. So I wound up going there, then played throughout my freshman year. Then I got in contact with someone named Rel. Y'all should know who Rel is, big McDevitt guy. And him and my uncle was close, so one day we was just talking on the phone. We just made it happen through here.
You had people you knew down here, family sort of down this way, too.
Yes, sir.
I watched your running style last year, man, and I watched a bunch of McDevitt games, but it felt like last year down that stretch of the playoff run, a switch really flipped for you and you were running, man, hard. You were running through some guys, man. When did that switch do you feel like a switch flipped for you there? And like what you were running hungry, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. That playoff run was for sure personal because at Northeast, I had some buddies I played at Roman Catholic, so them guys was like, basically when I was in Northeast, they was doubting me, say I want to be this, be that. And I told them one day, I'm going to see y'all. So I was hungry that whole playoffs. I really had something to prove throughout, like, people doubting me, coaches overlooking me. So I was just playing angry.
I think the underrated thing about your run too was it wasn't just the running too. You also had a pretty big run at linebacker too. Do you take
for sure
pride and being able to be that linebacker? I mean, I think that this McDevitt linebacking crew this year's got to be maybe the best position group of in any school, any position in the state right now. But how much pride do you take on playing defense as well?
Defense, definitely a key role in me because I've been playing both ways my whole life. Last year was like my first year like in high school, so I love defense. Like people be saying like when I'm on offense, it's like I'm on defense, if that makes sense. Like I bring that hungry like.
So Ep went to Eastern Michigan and you're an Eastern Michigan commit. And first of all, what led you to Eastern Michigan?
Eastern Michigan was like the first school to like offer me and they believed in me off rip. So it's like, then I went there for the spring game. I wanted to commit there, but I wanted to see more. That school really want me, and I could tell the love. Just by going up there them 2 times, I definitely could tell the love, for sure. And they going to get a dub, I promise you that.
Yeah, Epps holding up the stadium there.
Ryan Harrison Stadium is in your window. Hopefully you can see it.
There.
You're going to the factory. I know the factory very well as an Eastern Michigan graduate.
And the culture, like, I feel as though, like, the culture different. I like to be around stuff like that. Like, they all push each other. There's no plan. It's just strictly work. And I feel as though that's going to help me develop to the next level.
Well, there's always a sense of sort of coming along at certain MAC schools, and Eastern Michigan certainly was them. I think Coach Creighton's done an unbelievable job there. It's a big reason why he's been there. I think this might be his 12th year coming up in the fall. So he's done a tremendous job too. What attracted you to Eastern Michigan? And obviously you're going to college, so it's not all about football. But obviously that's a huge part of it. But what drew you to the location? Because you're 20 minutes outside of Detroit. You're about 8 hours from home on a car ride. So what drove you to Ypsilanti?
What drove me there was like the culture. Is a great, like, the coaching staff, like, actually care. They gonna push you, and they got a great business. So that's where I want to major in college. So it's everything I need at that school.
Do you kind of talk to me a little bit about, you messaged me a little bit about it when we wrote the article, but I feel like you felt like, you didn't kind of get the respect you kind of thought you might after that postseason run, right? Are you a guy that's gonna? It sounds like even this year in the playoffs, you had a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. Are you a guy that likes using kind of, things like that as sort of motivation and as a chip on your shoulder to, keep getting better and play as hard as you possibly can?
Oh yeah, for sure. And this year, they definitely gonna see it. Like they definitely, every coach that overlooked me gonna regret everything. I promise you that. Because they've been sleeping after that postseason. I don't think nobody did it how I did it in playoffs. So they definitely gonna see it.
I was following along that Pine Richland game from Epps' tweets with his hands frozen. But it, like the statistics from those games are, it was just like, oh, Nazir Jones-Davis with another 40-yard run. I'm sitting in a warm press box. Like, well, at least he's given Epps something to watch. But yeah,
it was hard running too, man. He was running through guys.
Yeah, it was definitely cold out there. Pittsburgh, for sure, cool. That game was just a game. Just got to prove everybody wrong and beat the odds. Everyone had us losing. We just came and won. Nobody wanted to think we had won a state title that year.
It's always interesting because, Whitfield teams are known for, obviously hard-nosed football, playing defense, and not many running backs do that against a Whitfield squad.
They thought that, but McDevitt football, we physical over here too, for sure.
Oh.
People going to realize that.
That's what we said all year, right? Was that this McDevitt team was like sometimes I think you can get the McDevitt teams that aren't as physical, but this McDevitt team this last year was as physical. I think you said it, Ep, was as physical on both sides of the ball as any you'd seen in a while.
Absolutely.
I think like throughout the whole season, how we was like in our mindset, we not gonna let nobody bully us. Like we just gonna dominate. We not even going. We lost them 2 games. That really woke us up, especially that state college game. Especially bouncing back throughout. Like we was down a lot of points. We just came as a team, came back, but we still came short. But that really woke us up throughout the playoffs.
How are you going to use that experience this year? Because like you said, I talked to Liam Fuller too after his commitment. He said the same thing. We want a 2-peat. That's the goal. How are you going to use that kind of experience from this past year to fuel you guys? I'm sure now the goal is like, we want to go undefeated. We want to win state title. But do you feel like you guys learned a lot about how to navigate the season, getting all the way to the end there?
I mean, we learned a lot from last year, like just playing, like not playing in practice, but like just not taking it serious. So this year, this is none of that. We just straight grinding. And that's the goal of state title.
Who are some of the younger guys that you think are going to step up this year? Because obviously you guys lose Dominic Diaz-Ellis, you lose Stone. Obviously Sebastian's a big one. I've heard a lot of buzz about Howard Holton Jr. People are really high on
Sebastian, Howard Holton Jr., Jonte Quick.
I've heard Teron Dennis is another guy that people say is really good.
Yeah, there's a lot of young talent on our team, especially last year. We had a lot of sophomores, juniors. So, like, we all coming back.
I was just going to say, Nas, we really enjoy you popping on last minute here quick.
I appreciate y'all for sure.
This interview come together pretty quick, but Nas, man, loved your film last year. Loved what you did down the stretch. Eastern Michigan commit. If you guys haven't seen Nazir Jones-Davis swoops, run, go check out his huddle. How can they find you on social media?
My Instagram, playoff swoops. My Twitter, swoops02. That's it. It's going to be a lot to see this year. I promise you that. Last year was just a warm-up. I'm coming for that Shady McCoy record.
Shady.
Yeah.
We had to tag Shady in that.
Yeah.
Last one, have you met Shady?
I met him at my Harrisburg game. I was walking towards the car, and he had beeped the horn to me, and he was just talking to me about, he was saying that Harrisburg game, I should have got it, boy, like 30 times. We was just chopping it up, joking around.
Did you go tell Weck, hey, Shady McCoy said you got to give me the ball 30 times?
I would just let Coach Weck do his job. I can't. Feel me?
I was standing next to Shady on the sideline for that game, and I can confirm he was saying that all game. He was saying, let's run the ball.
Like, you're walking through the parking lot after the game, a horn beeps, and you look up, and Shady McCoy's there, and he's giving you props. That had to be pretty darn cool. What was that like?
That was great seeing a McDevitt legend tell me I was running hard and I was running good. That's really waking me up and building my confidence up.
That's pretty dang cool, man. Nas, again, man, thanks for popping on. We're really excited.
Thank y'all
to see
for having me.
Yeah, we're really excited to see you run again this year. Really excited to see what Bishop McDevitt's got again this year. And, man, congrats on Eastern Michigan. I'm so excited. That's his alma mater. But I think you're going to be, you're going to be a good one there, man. So keep it up, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, guys, that was Swoops, Nas Jones-Davis. He thinks McDevitt can, go and win it again. And we've heard that from Liam Fuller, too. Dan, you told you that. Their tight end who just committed to, where did he commit to, Dan?
UConn.
McDevitt has a ton of talent back again. Guys, I wanted to have him on. I kind of fell in love with that kid, the way he ran it down the stretch. I know, Ep, you were in the house for a lot of those games. Tell us about that kid real quick. What did we learn from this interview, and what is it about that kid that you really like?
He runs angry. I mean, that's just that's a simple way to put it. I mean, he ran, and the way he ran the last 6-8 weeks of the season was sort of like he put the team on his back. And I don't know if it maybe thought Stone was getting a few more headlines than he should have running back. But I mean, he optimized every carry he had. And it wasn't just about his, the vision or the speed. He likes contact. He really does. And he ran over a bunch of people, and he just, like I said, he just put the team on his back. really. I mean, if he had 10 carries or had 20, or he caught the ball out of the backfield, I mean, he was tremendous. I mean, we talked late last year, and I think Dan and I talked a bunch about this, that you could make the argument that they don't, even with Stone Saunders in their center, they don't win a state title without Nas. That was saying a lot considering all the talent that was on that McDevitt team. Yeah, tremendous kid. And he wants it and he works for it. And he's just the type that puts his head down and goes. And you have to tell him when to stop. Game's over. Most of the time, those guys are successful in whatever they do. And I am very thrilled that he's going to end up in the Mid-American Conference.
So for folks that don't know, obviously my health issues, I can't get out in the field like I used to. I sit here on Friday nights and watch these games on TV, and I'm like bothering you guys while you're out trying to watch games because I'm texting you, and you guys could probably tell last year down the stretch, I was getting fired up just watching that kid run sitting on the couch. Yeah, if I would have been on a team with him, watching the way he ran, he ran with a real, like Pyre Michelin, he was not going to go down. He ran with a real old school type of determination that is just fun to watch. And like I said, if I was on this team, man, watch that kid run like he did. It would have had me fired up to come in there and like really get after it.
Yeah, that's why it was so fun to watch you, because it's not like he's like a bowling ball Derrick Henry type running back. It's not like his build or his like style is necessarily to do that. But during the playoffs, it was just like, hey, I might be kind of a more like cut running back that I use as cuts. He's very agile, catch the ball out of the backfield. But he like Ep said, he was running to contact. He wasn't going down on first hit. That physicality frankly kind of surprised me how much he had in him. But I think that interview also kind of goes to show why he's been so successful. And it's that he's just one of those kids that's always going to have a chip on his shoulder and kind of use. And it's a cliche thing to say, right? That these super successful kids have chips on their shoulder. They're also extremely talented, but it feels like he tries to find things that are going to motivate him, that are going to get him to that place that where he got, like he said, that he went to high school in Philadelphia, and he told the Roman Catholic kids, "We're going to see you in the state championship game." And I imagine he's going to use that fuel. I imagine if you asked him, he would say there's not a better running back in the state of Pennsylvania than him, and that he should be the guy getting the Power 4 offers and being there. But it seems like he's also sold in that Eastern Michigan culture, and when he gets there, it would not surprise me at all if he is playing immediately for Eastern Michigan, because he's ready to play after this year. I imagine he's ready to see the field quickly after all the experience he's had in high school.
Well, he's a fun player to watch. McDevitt's going to be one of the more interesting programs in the state, as we discussed a lot of their guys on this podcast. So keep an eye out for him. Check him out on social media. Check out his huddle. Guys, I think we got a podcast 2 in a row. Dan, tell them how to find you on social media.
Dan_Sostek. Brian, you can tell them to find you at Douglas and at Douglas and Vickerville. It's
Dan, I don't appreciate the hate. Just because I have fans out there, you got hate in your heart, Dan. It's at Sports by B. Linder on X. Old head Eric Epler. I say old head because he's got it under his name here.
I have it under my name. It called me that, and then we have a problem if I didn't put it there. But I am indeed old head. I am at 3.
Real quick, for folks who don't know, though, he really is an old head. I mean, the guy's got a Kirby Puckett. Is that a Mitchell and Ness back there behind?
That is a legit Mitchell and Ness.
Mitchell and Ness is
twins.
Dan, what you know about Mitchell and Ness? That is the
I know that I can't
crop
afford,
right there.
I can't afford most Mitchell and Ness. So
that's
Mitchell
right.
and Ness. And Kirby Puckett was one of my all-time favorites. I was a kid watching him beat the Braves. Now, I don't know how old you were at, but I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old watching him beat the Braves. Him and Jack Morris out.
Jack Morris was fabulous.
I loved Kirby. Anyway, he's got that behind him. He is an old head. Tell him how to find you on Twitter.
I'm at 3Jacker. Here's the nephews in front of the Kirby Puckett Monument at Target Field.
That's awesome.
Love Kirby Puckett.
And I love the powder blue too.
Oh yeah.
Our producer Megan, anything you want to tell people as we head out and you head out on your staycation?
Don't burn the place down while I'm gone, please.
We won't. She's at Savvy Literate. Follow her there, but don't put tracking devices on her car. And look, check us out on PennLive.com. I got heat. Last episode, we're saying Media Day was about a month away. Now it's even closer to being a month away when you listen to this podcast. So check us out on PennLive.com. Got a lot coming up. Till next time.